Hey everybody, Joy Brooks with Email and Coffee, and today is Saturday. Surprise you. I'm talking with Andrea Mendel, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about her, but I'm going to let her do that. So speak, Andrea, tell us about you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Joy, for having me. It's great to be here. So, yes, I'm Andrea, and I was born and raised in Hungary. And when I was 21, I went to Britain, and I actually lived in Britain for 25 years. But before that, I fell in love with the English language when I was 14. It was the love of my life. And then when I went to Britain, I fell in love with it even more. And then as I was learning to speak it more and more, I loved the experience of being able to talk to anyone, anywhere, wherever I went. And then I really wanted to spread the joy, help other people to have this experience. So that's when I thought, I really need to be a teacher. So this is how my teaching career started all the years ago. And then as the years went by, I started doing my own things. I obviously have a degree in teaching English as a foreign language and also a Cambridge certificate and a couple of Cambridge top exams, language exams. But now I call myself a language coach because it's my methodology is a lot different now. So I help non-native English speakers break through their limiting beliefs and empower their English voice so that they become courageous speakers of the language. So I have a 10-week program, and the program has 3 pillars. I have a mindset. It has a mindset pillar, a clarity, and a skills and strategies pillar. So that's in a nutshell what I do. Yeah.
You obviously love your work. What types of people are you working with? They're from all over the world?
Yes, so my ideal client is someone whose English is already at a high level. And it could be that they lack clarity. It could be that they need some sound work, more sound work than anything else, or it could be that they need some grammar work, some structure, some word order, But most, all of my clients have this in common, that they lack confidence because they bring that traditional mindset from traditional education, that unless you say it 100% correct, you get the A or the 5 as we had it as we do in Hungary. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then that's not good enough, and that's so ingrained, so deep-seated, that really it needs to be. It's almost like a wound. I call it a wound. It has to be healed, right?
Sometimes
it's big words.
To have those conversations. You won't engage in a conversation with a group of people, or even a larger than that. Socially or professionally, you might not engage because you're afraid of not saying the proper thing in the proper way, or even making a huge mistake and saying something that can be otherwise construed as really bad English.
Yeah. Joy, it's actually quite hard to talk about this because it goes so deep, and it's such a passion of mine, and it goes deep with me as well because I've been through that. So I understand exactly where they're coming from. I went through the education. I was actually the straight A student, but I still, it doesn't matter where you were, on this kind of, I don't know, were you an A, a B, or a C? That's not the point. The point is that somewhere deep down you don't feel good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, you're
so
different. You're different. You're clearly different. And, you know, it's the language that's making you different. As soon as you open your mouth, people are like, oh, where are you from?
yeah,
And the whole conversation shifts.
yeah, you have an accent. First of all, we all sound different, right? Then we don't know the words. Nobody knows. Nobody does. We think we need to know the words. That's the thing. That's the silly thing. We think we need to sound like a native speaker. We think we need to know the words. It's almost like we think we need to be better than a native speaker. You know what I mean? And so even when people actually speak, because they're going to speak, they have to speak at work, and you know, they don't enjoy. They don't have the joy. So I'm not just stopping at, you know, being okay using the language. My mission is that people actually enjoy speaking in English.
You know, I can get that. If I were to be able to speak fluent Spanish and be in a group of people and speaking Spanish, there would be a joy in that. I get that. I can speak broken Spanish and I can get unlost, but you know, I might be able to find the bathroom or order dinner, but I can't have a conversation. You know, no. And I understand that there would be an incredible joy if I were in Spain and I were just sitting there having a full conversation in Spanish, because there's culture involved. There's more than just language.
So why would you be joyful? Why would you have that joy?
Because there would be color in what I was saying. There would be, it would be live. It would be vibrant, because I'm not just trying to look for words. There would be thoughts in my mind. And I would, you know, if I were saying something like, you know, isn't that a beautiful flower? I would be able to use all of the words that are showing that flower is beautiful. And, you know, isn't that flower beautiful with the petals the way they are, and that, you know, that it blossoms at night, whatever it is, I would be able to express that freely, as opposed to saying, isn't that a beautiful flower, and not being able to go past there because I don't know how to further express why I'm feeling it's beautiful. You know, the language, you can start expressing feelings, emotions. And as I said, there's culture also. So, you know, things like, I just said one, like, you know, things that are peculiar to the languages that foreign people, those are the ones that are hardest for them. Maybe they get them from music. Maybe they get them from watching television, American television. But if they're watching American television, they're not getting English slang or English colloquial, because there are things that are not equal between the two, or even Australia. I mean, we have a few different English-speaking. Canada, another one. There are things that are just not said in between all those different places. The term spot on, I remember spot on and bespoken when I worked, almost 10, 15 years ago with a client, a partner from the UK. And I remember hearing spot on, and I'm like, what?
I was just going to say,
What is that? I might even be able to find the book. I bought British colloquial language.
Really?
Yes, because I was like, I'm having a problem here. There's going to be some things this person's going to say, and what am I supposed to say? What? What do you mean spot on? I couldn't figure out what bespoke meant for the life of me.
Oh, bespoke. I love that word.
Custom.
Yeah.
Now we use it. Now it's come across to the States. So people in the States will say, oh, that's bespoke, which means, you know, you made it up. It's custom to you, whatever. You know, it's a bespoke suit. Oh, you paid a pretty penny for that. That's a bespoke suit. Yeah.
Bespoke services. Yeah.
You know,
wow, I didn't
bespoke
know that.
services, right? And spot on being, right on. But, you
Yeah.
got it. I was like, I'm spot on. Well, is there a spot on me?
Have you heard
I
the
had no idea
expression?
what they meant.
Have you heard the
And
expression? Yeah, sorry.
that's where that's what I'm saying. That's where the love is, where they say something that is particular to their culture and the times, and you get it, and it's funny. You're not looking at them laughing, and they're like, "You didn't get that, did you?" And you're like, "No, can you express? Can you tell me what you're?" And that happens to people.
Yeah.
Do you teach what people should say when they don't get it, or how people should say, "Could you say that again?" Because that's the most embarrassing thing to do when you're having a conversation, is to say, "Heck,
Yeah.
what?"
Yeah, that's a good question. But can I just go back to what you were saying about the flowers and everything? And I had a thought. Okay, so can I ask you, what about, let's say you go out with a bunch of Spanish people, and your Spanish, let's say, is at an elementary level.
It is.
So you're
Okay.
about, so you can just say flower, beautiful, maybe green.
Exactly.
But then, would you enjoy the conversation?
I would be struggling, and I would feel nervous, and I would be
Really?
uncomfortable because I would not catch what they were saying.
Mm-hmm. But
And I would not be able to full sentences. I'd be like a 2-year-old going, "Me hungry."
see, I don't think I would be like that. If I went to Italy, this is my dream, and I don't speak, or maybe I speak a few sentences in Italian, and I would still enjoy it because I'm learning it. So see,
Right.
this is where the different mindset comes in. And I wanted to make a point of this.
Right. No,
So
what I'm saying,
yeah,
what I'm saying is that if I'm in a group of people
yeah,
and everyone's speaking fluent, and I'm the odd one out,
yeah.
I would feel uncomfortable. Until I'm accepted
But you
for
are,
being the odd
you
one
are,
out, for
you
being
are
the odd one
accepted.
out,
You're their
then
friends.
exactly they would be, then in other words, there's a relationship now where they're teaching me and they're not making fun of me, and I'm not afraid they're saying,
Yeah.
"She's so stupid," in their own language.
Yeah,
I would be uncomfortable. So if I go to Italy that first day that I get off the plane, even on the plane, and they're speaking Italian, I get off the plane, I'm in the airport, and I've got to get myself a taxi to the hotel, I'd be nervous as all get out. If I was alone, I'd be a nervous wreck. With someone else,
really.
I'd be laughing. Like,
Right.
I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm saying. Help
See,
me.
I got a missing gene then, because that wouldn't bother me.
It wouldn't bother you.
It wouldn't bother me at all. So yeah, that's why I was gonna.
How many languages do you speak?
No,
Besides
only two.
only two.
Well, I learned Russian for 8 years because communism, socialism, da da da. But
Yes.
I don't speak Russian. A couple of words, velocipede, and something, and the rest ridiculous.
I speak 3 words.
words.
No, maybe just 2. Da and spasibo.
Spasiba.
Okay. And
yeah.
isn't it like one is beer and one is thank you?
Yeah, one is yes. Da is yes.
Da is yes. But spasibo and spasibo or something like that. One is beer and one is thank you.
Be. I actually have things like coming up like Black Sea, Chorna Amore, inflection at the end, which we were like, but how can you study a language for 8 years and not know anything? I mean, that's just, see what I mean?
Well, I didn't study Spanish for 8 years, but I did study it in high school. And little things come to me. And I try to, every once in a while, I try to think in Spanish. I can't. And I'm amazed that people do that. I'm just amazed. Right now, what language are you thinking in?
I don't. That's funny. People still think like I think, but I don't. It's kind of, it flows. I can do both at the same time, or whatever comes quicker. It's like, it could be a sentence and half of it is in English, half is in Hungarian, whatever comes.
That's amazing.
You know what it is? Okay, so let's say it's not about the language because because I don't translate, but like for example, there is this makeup thing, yeah, and it's called a tinted moisturizer. Now, I've never bought this in Hungary, so what is a tinted moisturizer in Hungarian? So I'm not going to know that. So that word comes to me in English purely because the product that I'm using. So you see what I mean? Languages are so kind of
but
to do with the language, but it's what you do with the language.
If I were to ask you the color, you might be thinking, oh, the color is, and you might be thinking in two different languages because there might be a closer color to it, maybe in Hungarian as opposed to sometimes.
Usually the choosing is split second, so you don't realize.
It's just that I find that's fascinating. That's fascinating.
But can you imagine kids when they grow up in families where there's 3 languages or 3 and 4?
That's what I was about to say. My next door neighbor is Korean. Her child speaks English and Spanish and Korean.
Wow.
She's 4 years old.
Yeah.
She's 4 years old.
Best age.
And see, the thing is, I think once they learn to do that, it's not that everybody can. It's not that some people can or cannot. I don't think that's the case. I think that when you do that when you're young, you train a muscle in your head that if you don't use it, you don't know you have it. But we all have it.
You know,
I think we all have it, but I don't think we all use it. And then it becomes difficult. It's just like if I wanted to just right now start, lifting weights. I have a muscle that I can lift weights, but it's going to take a long time for me to get there.
Mm-hmm.
So
you know what? Mindset
to do it, but it's going to take longer. But if I were lifting weights since I was 2 years old, I'd be going like this,
Yeah, that's true. There's muscle memory, yeah. But I would say now that mindset is 50%. I would even say mindset is 50%. It's so important. People don't realize. So in my program, I listen to people and I pick up on, what it is that holds them back. Where do they have those little fixed mindsets? Even if they so politely, get around it, I'll find out because I'm listening. So I'm watching you, like I'm onto you, like I'm into you, onto you and into you. Yeah, that's 2 different things. But so, because if you have a fixed mindset, it's like you close the door there. So yeah, it's got to be open. You've got to have an open mind. It's got to be a can-do attitude. I can do it. I might not know it yet. I might not be able to do it yet, but I will.
Right. I'm going to practice and I'm going to get there.
Whereas a lot of people say, yeah, I have a friend, she lived with me in England and she literally no, don't like England. I don't like the language. She didn't even like Cambridge much. So I'm like, well, you can't be helped if you don't like Cambridge. Who doesn't like Cambridge? It's so beautiful. But she had decided a long time ago that for some reason she was a failure in English. So that's it. And it's just so silly because she could,
Well, that's the mindset, and that's why when you're speaking different languages, it is a love because you're thinking in clearly 2 different dimensions and it's instantaneously happening. And that brings more of life into your heart. It sounds almost silly to say that, but if you're able to speak more than one language, you're able to understand more than one culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
And understanding more than one culture suddenly makes you aware that there's lots going on under the surface. So you actually become a little bit more intelligent and accepting and tolerant and willing and you accept the challenges. It's all of those things that happen immediately when you accept another language. Because using words and those words, for example, I'm gonna go out the deep end. Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Yeah.
That means, I believe, what black is it? Black Forest, Black Master, Black
I don't know. I don't actually know.
Schwarz. It's dark. It's dark black.
I should know because my daughter's
And
father
I think it's.
is his hero. Schwarzenegger. I don't know.
I'm trying to think. In any case,
Schwarz is black for sure.
yes. So it's like you those simple things like that. Simple things like, what does that mean? What does your name mean?
Yeah.
It introduces you to immediately the culture. Immediately. Because you're like, oh, your name means that? Well, that's wild. Because what does joy mean? Joy means happiness. Oh, it does. Somebody not my language would be like joy. And I'd be like, like happiness, joy. And if they didn't speak the language, they wouldn't connect that.
Yeah. So you know the word kovacs. That means black kovac in Hungarian, but in America you would say kovacs, yeah, or something like that.
Okay.
Do you know Kovacs? Anyway.
Kovac. Okay.
Kovacs or something like that.
That's a
Kovacs.
That's a popular last name.
Yeah, because it has a meaning. It's the name of a trade, blacksmith. Kovac. Just like Smith, blacksmith,
right.
Smith in England.
The thing is, our last names are part of that culture that we are not even aware of.
Yeah.
That we are not even aware of. And how our name, you look at a last name and, you say, oh, that's Italian or whatever. But what you're not necessarily, obviously, what you're not getting is, what does that name mean in Italian? Because it has a meaning. It's not just the da with an I or an A at the end. It means something. And that's when language becomes that beautiful thing. That's when it becomes, you're suddenly aware, you're for example, a lot of Chinese people, their names are clearly like American Native Americans. The names are clearly, running with deer type of a thing. They're beautiful in that respect. It's not just, Iris with an American name, Iris. It's a flower. So the person whose name is Iris is named after a flower, which is lovely. But, Iris that rises, Iris that shines in the day type of thing. Those are names in many other countries. It's not just that Iris. It's a full, again, you lose that. And that's when you get the joy of a language. You enjoy the process. So as soon as you land in Italy, you're excited about that process.
Well, that's going to happen one day.
Don't be afraid of that. I would be like, oh God, here I go. What am I going to say? Get the book ready. I got the book. What am I?
That's the point. You don't know what to say. So you're going to go up to the taxi driver. You get a pen and a paper. You draw it. You mime it. You do the whole shenanigan, whatever, shebang. And you make yourself understood. And then if he laughs, who cares?
Exactly.
You made his day.
Exactly. Who cares?
Yeah. It never occurred to me that people would laugh because I want to... See, for me, making that connection was always much more important. Making the communicating. That's what I'm trying to get through to people. However, I really want to mention that the reason why I'm so passionate is because I was scared to do teaching, to be a teacher in England. So I held myself back for a long time. So I think now with this kind of, I don't know, after all these years, for 10 years I worked in a department store, which is, no regrets because I've learned so much. And I was actually a coach there as well. And all them skills that I picked up, and again, more communication, more connection. I was
going to say that the skills are quite transferable. Just because you're in a department store, you're talking with lots of people on lots of levels. So
yeah, and I think my confidence must have grown as well. So it wasn't wasted, but I'm just so passionate that people don't let the language hold them back.
Mm-hmm.
They shouldn't let the language hold them back. Shouldn't the idea, that I'm not good enough because I'm not perfect, because it's not. Yeah, you get. Yeah. So what were we saying?
Well, I was going to
The
say,
communication. So the point is,
go ahead.
the point is to
Communication.
Yeah, what is the goal? It's not actually, the goal is not actually to speak beautifully, is it?
No. It's communicate.
Yeah.
It's, the poets will speak
There's
beautifully.
always a goal to
It's the
communication,
communication.
isn't it? Imagine if you were really hungry, we were in the Second World War, or there was a war, and you wouldn't, all of a sudden, you wouldn't be worried about who was laughing at your Italian if you were like, dropped down in Italy or something.
It'd be
You
like,
would just
food,
wanna,
food,
exactly,
drink,
all of a sudden, all that ego, all that silliness would go out the window because your tummy would tell you not to worry.
And you'd learn quicker.
Right?
You'd learn quicker.
You'd learn bread straight away.
Quick.
You'd be so focused.
Yes.
Your ears, because you'd be focused.
Right.
One thing, what is bread? I don't care how to say, could I, do I need, please, who cares? Give me bread. I'm hungry. You see what I mean? If people come from this point, if they were brought up with this kind of attitude, with this mindset from school, we would have a completely different generation, well, several generations of people. But
once you do start learning different languages, obviously the mindset's going to come into place.
Yeah.
Imagine if children in America were taught Arabic and Chinese. The mindset would be totally different. In other words, we were taught the language of, quote unquote, our current enemies. If we were taught that language, Russian, Chinese, Arabic, it would be very interesting because the words are going to deliver the culture. The words are going to deliver the culture. You're suddenly going to understand things that you didn't consider before. You have to. Not just in grammar and construction. And I mean, that's not where, it's not just that. It's the words themselves, because one word can, in America, in English, one word can mean a few different things. And it's when that word means a few different things that you start to wonder, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, exactly.
A pair of shoes and I want to eat a pear. Like, how did that happen? Why is it the same? Why does it sound the same, but it's not the same? And that happens in other languages.
Yes, so somebody was asking me actually who's learning Hungarian, and their Hungarian is really good. And they said, well, how comes you can say a couple? Well, anyway, they were questioning the word in Hungarian couple, and I had to explain that this couple means two, but this couple doesn't mean two, and it didn't make sense at all. And they said, no, that doesn't. I said, yes, it does. Trust me, it's not like in English. They were trying to transfer.
That's exactly, because the word couple, the connotation in Hungarian between two people and whatever the other connotation is, there's a little bit of culture in that perhaps, is so deep that we don't know. For example, the English language is a combination of French, German, probably some Celtic thrown in, right? I mean, it's and the full Latin, it's got the full Latin thrown in on top of it. So there are so many terms that are accepted that are not English at all.
Mm-hmm.
And, when and if it happens and we say them and a foreign speaker, let's say a German, goes, oh yeah, they understand that word because it's German, and we don't have a clue that it's a German word.
Yeah.
Or that it's so close to German. And that's where, I love language on that level. When I find a term that translates or I find it, I'll be reading a book and perhaps they'll throw in a foreign language and I'll try to look, I'll scan it and I'll be like, okay, this is Italian. Okay, where are the words that I can understand? And then I'll translate it, using Google Translate. And I'm just fascinated by that. Just by that, finding the words that I see, that I recognize, the structure, and realizing, you know what? It's linear. It just keeps going. It's like language is not static. It doesn't change. I'm sorry. It's not standing still. It's constantly changing. So,
can I say something funny? Rouge means red in French.
Yes.
So rouge means lipstick in Hungarian. Rouge. But we spell it R.
Red.
Yeah. So must have come from the word rouge.
French. Exactly.
French word, yeah. But we spell it R-U-Z-S.
Okay, rouge.
How cool is that, right? Yeah.
Well, there was one point in history, right, when France was the cultural epicenter, and all of that language just moved east and west because everybody wanted to be French, right? Mm-hmm. The Russians especially, right? There was that time where anything French was just, in Russia was just, oh my goodness, the czars just wanted to be French. The clothing, everything, the style, everything was French. And then the revolution happened and that got thrown out the window. But that's besides the point. It's just, language is fascinating. Who of your students have the hardest time learning and speaking and working with English? Or is it like universal? They all, universally all have a hard time here and there.
No, I think we all have our unique kind of what I can say, obviously mostly about Hungarians because I know them the best, but I also had Polish clients as well. And so for Hungarians, because of the way our sound system is, it's very easy for us to speak nice English, nice, clear English. Yeah, even the sounds, we can make this sound.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, the th sound, a lot of Hungarians are just reluctant to make it because they feel, this is going to be a horrible word, retarded. They feel really, shouldn't use that word. We don't use that word anymore.
But right? They just feel like they're
back into nursery where they're getting.
This is a blind you had.
Yeah, well, it's more like let's take this child to the speech and language therapist because they need to learn to speak.
Okay, all right, there you go.
That again is honestly, they have a real problem up
That's
here.
Interesting. It's
to produce this. It's not coming out.
Aside from kids stuttering, kids who take the letter S and do sh, so it's like snakes. Like
exactly.
They can't say S. So, I want something. They can't say S, and they have to go to speech therapy to learn how to say S. So what you're basically saying is
so in Hungary we do that, And also we roll our R's. So the R has to be, so we have this little nursery rhyme. Répa, retek, mogyoró, korán reggel, rikán, rikkant, rigo. So then you keep saying that in preschool.
Peter Piper picked a peck.
Yeah. But then, of course, when you start learning English, you've got to unlearn rolling your R's.
Right.
Because it's going to sound like a very strong accent. You can, but if you want to have a nice accent,
But you don't run down the block. If you say something, run right over. They'll be like, what did you do?
But other than that, like I've never been told to say the. So even now I struggle. I can say it perfectly. I know where I need to put it. Mother, But when I speak fast, it.
There are so many things like that. I mean,
Because
obviously,
I could,
for
So
anybody who is trying to speak many of the African languages, they use so many different, and even
different,
Chinese,
yeah.
or the Orientals. I'm sorry, the Asians. Oh, shoot me. Not so much Japanese. Japanese is not that difficult. At least I found when I hear Japanese speaking, it's not that difficult. Every vowel is spoken. So you see a vowel, you say it. It's not like it's not there. Like, it's not shiitake, it's shiitake, right?
Mm-hmm.
They say everything. I mean, they may slur things when they speak fast, but everything is pronounced. But Chinese, Korean, there are a lot of diphthongs, combinations that are not in the English language.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing with a lot of African languages, but that also said with the Slavic, with the Hungarian, with the Roman. I mean,
yeah.
Even I'm trying to figure out what is the Swedish, Finnish, Icelandic. What language is that? That's the Norwegian. Is it what?
Yeah.
They have lots of things going on that are very
Scandinavian.
When you see them, you're like, what do you say there? Like, how do you say, how many consonants can you have in a row?
Yeah.
Many
Joy,
languages.
Things have changed so much over the past 20 years, So now it doesn't really matter. Your English doesn't have to be, perfect. The sounds even don't have to be perfect. What matters really is, and this is another thing what they don't teach in school, they don't teach it very well, or they don't teach it at all because they don't teach pronunciation. The people don't speak. Hello, it's a language. You should speak it, but they just, okay, write the test, write the book. Anyway, so you need to know where to put the stress in a word stress, sentence stress, and pausing. So important. Like right now, see how I'm pausing, right? And I'm giving you a couple of seconds to process all the time.
Right.
A lot of students, for example, their English is so good, right? Because my clients speak good English, but they rush. So the whole thing is like, and then they put extra words in so that you could choose from. But a native speaker doesn't do that. You just pick one word. You know what I mean? Because it's lack of confidence or something. They just
well, you know what?
Compensate, right?
Everybody speaks their own language very quickly.
Right.
If we're trying to get something specifically across, we may pause. But if I saw you on the block, I'd be, hey, Andrea, how you doing? What's going on? I would just rattle off, and you'd be like, oh, that's great. I can't. What happened to me?
Not everyone is fast. No, Joy. I had a client who actually had I wouldn't say it's a problem, but she had a problem accepting herself because she was a slow speaker, both in Hungarian and in English. Her speed was slow. She took her time. And she just needed to accept that.
Most people speak, younger people. It's you know what? It's obviously a matter of personality, but most people tend to speak in their native language fairly quickly.
Yeah,
and to get the point across in a conversation where there's a lot of people. I mean, if you were the group of people, and if you were to talk like this, somebody would say, will you hurry up? I don't have all day now. Somebody would say that. But when you are learning a foreign language and it's becoming natural to you, you may try to speak quickly because that's what you're used to. So you're throwing all those words together and speaking really fast in a foreign language.
Because you think
other people may find it difficult because you do have an accent.
Exactly. And so obviously when you're amongst friends, that's different. But when you speak in a meeting, you want to articulate to make sure that they catch all those sounds, because my sounds are not perfect. But when I, articulate, it's easier for your ears to catch,
Right.
what I'm saying, right?
Right.
Especially, and don't even mention not switching camera on, because I'm on a mission. I'm turning the word into a word of, meetings with cameras on, right? People don't have their cameras on. It's crazy.
Camerism.
Can we just talk? About? Actually, I'm going to make a point of this. I'm going to be the girl. I'm going to be the annoying girl,
Camerism?
lady from
You're
Hungary.
creating a word, camerism?
Yeah, camerism.
Okay, talk to me.
No, I wasn't. But I'm going to be the annoying girl. Every single podcast, I should mention this. When you enter a meeting, when you join a meeting, I don't care if you work in IT or that I don't know, whatever your position is, you're the manager or the last person in the company. You go into a meeting, you're going to switch your camera on, your video, so that the other person can see you.
Oh, I see.
You get it?
You go to a Zoom meeting, you turn it on. No, I get it.
You turn on your camera, because if there's 4 of you who are native speakers, which is true story, 4 Americans, right? And you mentioned not understanding spot on. Well, I say spot on. You say spot on. Something like that. My American is bad. But that poor non-native speaker doesn't have half a chance of catching the American, idioms that you're using. So having the camera on, at least they can lip read. They can see your face.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm passionate. I want to empower non-natives to ask. Because those people, especially if they're men, right? No, that's a joke. They're not going to mind read. They're not going to read your mind and think, oh, I'll just switch my camera on because it'd be easier for her to, you know what I mean? That's not what happens. So non-natives need to ask, could you please switch your camera on? It would really help. Because, hey, we're all in this together. Aren't we just trying to solve something here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think
we're doing our jobs. We're doing
you have a point
Let's
there. A lot of people say, I'm still in my pajamas. So what? I can't tell you. If you didn't tell me that, I wouldn't know unless it's. It's
not even that, I think. It's just a habit, I think. And then the second thing is the multitasking and it's just the way that's the way they're used to it.
Yeah. They may be multitasking. They don't want you to know the fact that they're not.
For whatever reason. There could be legitimate reasons, yeah. But
it's. I understand what you're saying, because I have a few meetings with people, and they're not all native. Well, they're all from different parts of the country, from the United States, different parts of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And it's difficult for me to understand people from different parts of the United States sometimes. And I find myself lip reading. Like, oh, this person's speaking. This is the one I have difficulty with. And I watch their mouth as they are talking so I can figure out what they're saying.
But if they didn't have the
camera on, I would be like, oh, here comes that person. I give up. I hope they're not going to talk to me, because I'm going to have to say what?
So somebody mentioned, somebody mentioned the other day, actually, that there was I actually asked them, I said, you being a non-native, I said, so I'm asking you as well, Joy. So you're a native speaker, right? Because this is how non-native will think. Sometimes, like, for example, sometimes Indian people, sometimes there are some sounds that, I find really hard too, yeah? And some of them can be quite strong, depending on the individual, but it could be Spanish. I'm not singling out, So in my non-native mind, I was thinking, would, for example, Joy Brooks find it equally hard to understand? Thinking, oh, no, you're a native speaker. You can do anything. You know what I mean? You're like Superwoman.
Yeah, but
But no,
it's not.
No, they told me no. Many native speakers won't understand. And so it's very important to try to, have clear speech and learn to have. You can have an accent. That's not the thing. You don't want to, eradicate your accent. No, not at all. In fact, I decided early on when I was in England that I didn't want to lose my accent, because imagine then I would lose my roots. People wouldn't come up to me left, right, and centre. It was like so great for 20 years. Like, where are you from? Oh, you're Canadian. Oh, you're South African. Oh, you're from Australia. Well, it was New Zealand. I don't know everything. But to articulate,
it's got a different, it does have that, she's speaking with an English accent, quote unquote English accent, but it's not really English. Is she South African? Where is she from?
Slippery.
And I'm that person to do that, because within 15 minutes of you talking, I'd be like, where are you from? Because
I'll let you guess.
Yeah, I would never guess. I would never guess. No, because I would never guess it. No, I'm sorry. I would never.
But don't worry, nobody ever guessed. I think there was one person who said Eastern Europe over the 20 years. So
no.
Because the looks also throw you, right? Italian or Spanish or Turkish. Well, maybe even German. I don't know. That was everything. It was everything. I loved it. Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about the country, Hungary.
Okay. I'll tell you a funny story. It happened yesterday, because this will give you. In fact, even today, somebody sat right opposite me in the bus and said something. It wasn't my opinion, but so anyway, yesterday I went to my usual supermarket. I went early, and I don't know why, but there were a lot of men shopping there, and everybody had very strong perfume on. They were wearing this sweet, and I was like almost gagging. It was horrible. In fact, it reminded me when I was pregnant. So anyway, as I do, this is being me, right? Walking up to this nice blonde lady, I said, yeah, can you smell that? I said, she said, what? I meant, like a horrible smell.
Like stink.
A stink. I said, no, I actually mean the perfume. So we started talking, and instead of, I made a LinkedIn post about this, and instead of thinking I'm a lunatic, she said, it's so nice that you come up to me and talk to me. And she said something about where she works and that it's a secret, but I find her on Facebook or something. And she said it's very uncommon. Yeah, that's what she told me. It's very uncommon. People don't strike up conversation just like that. They think you're weird. So I stick out like a sore thumb. So
I do the same thing though, and I pick people.
You pick
as
up people?
lunatic as what you did. As lunatic, I'll be in the supermarket and I'll be picking the weird vegetables.
Weird vegetables.
Because I like to cook different things. I don't like to make the same thing all the time. And I'll go for something that I'm like, what the heck is this? And if somebody's there, I'll say, and what the heck is this? And how do you cook it? And they'll laugh and they'll tell me. So I was, I like, I don't know if you know what a plantain is. They're bananas.
I believe I do.
The banana family.
Yes.
But they're not, you can't eat them. They don't ripen like bananas. It's almost, it's all,
excuse me.
That's okay. Are we going to sneeze together? Or they're almost like potato. Like you can boil them and mash them and do all sorts of things. And you don't eat them as they're fruit. You eat them as if they're like some starch, like you would eat a potato. So I was picking my plantains, and next to the plantains were some other stuff. And the woman said to me out of the blue, have you ever made this? Because here I am, the plantain is a West Indian, Caribbean food. And obviously, I'm not West Indian or Caribbean. So she said, have you ever made this? And it was yucca, which is cassava. So they're both cassava. And it's also potato-like. It's, I made it a few times. I liked it. So that's how I learned things. I'm just like talking to strangers at the
cool.
store.
That's
And
cool.
I've had people look at me like, and like wheel away. And I'm like, you know what? If you can't talk with people, if you're food shopping and if you can't be with other people, send your
Mhm.
wife or send your husband. Don't go out because be friendly for goodness sake. What the heck? I'm overly friendly. I'm pathetic. I'm pathetic. I guess it's because I work from home and I work remotely. When I go outside and I meet people, I'm so excited to see people and talk with them. It's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's lovely, but it's not normal in Hungary, um, but not with everyone. You see,
Right.
in Hungary you get the extremes. So some people are really horrible, like the service as well. There's no smiling. Whereas in Britain you had a certain level, you had to, otherwise, And then you get the really kind people. They go out of their way, and because people are really kind. But I think life is hard here, and there's fear, and I don't know, it's just all that. So I have compassion for people here, so yeah.
I remember the time I went to Israel. I was on the plane coming back, and I sat next to. Um, I figured they were Palestinian, right? Um, I didn't speak the language, so of where, could they have been Lebanese? Yes, but let's term them Palestinian. So I'm sitting there. I don't speak Hebrew. I speak English. They don't speak Hebrew. They don't speak English. Or maybe they speak a little Hebrew, but I don't speak Hebrew, so talking to me in Hebrew is not going to be successful either. So we're sitting there, and she's talking to me, talking, knowing that I don't speak any. Obviously, I don't speak the language. And she's opening up something and she's sharing nuts with me, and she's telling
Oh,
me what
bless
they
her.
are. So she gives it to
Yeah.
me and she tells me what it is. So I don't remember now, but we went back and forth. I was learning the language. So she was passing time in a very friendly way. She figured out a way to talk with me, and he was smiling
No,
and
no,
laughing.
Bander, no,
No, not at all.
at
Not,
all.
just looked at
Just
me
doing
and
it, right?
smiled, and
That's
I
it.
smiled back, and we started from there. And I enjoyed the whole thing. And do I know her name? No, but I remember, and I still see them in my head. And I thought it was, what? It was whatever, a 7-8 hour flight. The whole time we were talking about different things.
Really?
Basically food,
No language at all.
clothes, stuff,
Yeah,
books, whatever it was.
yeah.
She would tell me the word in her language. And I would say, book. And she would say, the. And she would then say book. And I would try to say it.
Amazing, amazing. See? Impromptu language class or
Exactly.
whatever you want to call
And
it. It doesn't have to be, we overthink things. This is why, so let's go back to, basics. Let's simplify the actual language as well. You don't need all the 12 tenses, do you? People just learn 3 or 4 really well. Be confident, like, simple present, simple past. It doesn't matter if you use past simple or I've done it or I did it. Who cares? You done it, did it, it's done. You did it.
right. Right.
Just
Well,
say it. You know what I mean?
they'll ask you, and you'll learn that you just said, I'm going to do it tomorrow, and you actually did it yesterday. They're going to be like, look at you like, they'll like tomorrow. No. Yesterday.
I mean,
and you're
Joy,
going to
it actually goes against everything that I used to be as a teacher. Like, what do you mean? You've got to know, is it will or is it going to? That's so important. Will you go or are you going to? You know what I mean? That's so important. And I can spend like, a good few hours on, because I love doing that. But actually, I'm thinking it's not that important.
I know. Well, when I learned Latin, I do speak a few different languages. Because
Right?
in Greek.
Right.
Ancient. Obviously, there's no modern Latin, but ancient Greek. And when I was learning the language, and past, everything was normal, past tense, future, whatever. And then came the subjunctive. Now I remember learning the subjunctive in Spanish and going, Okay, you lost me. And then there was no ifs, ands, or buts. Latin is full of all of that. And it's kind of funny because when you think of Latin as a language and you learn it, no one spoke that way. It was almost as if all of the dialects were forming in Rome at the time that Latin was being spoken or read. No one spoke that way. It was too difficult. They all had their dialects immediately at the same time. So Latin was something that that legal spoke, that the higher class might have spoke, that was written, that was definitely Bible, but nobody spoke that way. Nobody spoke that way. And nobody knew what the subjunctive was. And to this day, I sort of laugh. I'm like, when I said that, that's the subjunctive. When I said that, I said, that's subjunctive. When I felt that I would, that's subjunctive. But I don't think that I have to use the subjunctive and try to figure out how to. In a foreign language, I would.
Well, again...
And that's tough. Those are the complex sentences when you're telling somebody that you said how you felt. That's a complex thing to communicate. Because it's not it's not that you're feeling this way, because you're saying that I said I felt this way.
Yeah.
Or I said I would do it, but the communication is I didn't do it. I said I would. Oh, so you did it? No, I said I would do it. Well, you did it, right? You could get lost in that translation if you don't use the right term. And that's when communication gets difficult. Expressing those odd types of feelings, it's really a feeling type of a thing. You're expressing a feeling. I said I would, but I didn't. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
You said what? Who? You said what? What'd you say? You said you did something? No, I said I was gonna. Oh, did you do it? No. Oh, okay. You have to literally break it down into 3 sentences. I said, okay, I was gonna, but I didn't. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But if you say it all, I said I was going to do this, but I didn't do it, it would be like, say that again.
You mentioned how do I teach, or how do I help people overcome, like when they get stuck, or when they are misunderstood, or so that's when it's important that you have confidence in yourself, because everybody gets stuck, even native speakers get stuck, right?
Yeah.
So you need to have strategies so that you don't panic, you don't think, that's it, the word ended, because I got stuck. You know what I mean?
You have to figure out other ways of saying it or communicating it.
Exactly. Again, so I'm teaching people a lot of tips and tricks, and how to learn effectively. So you're looking up a word in the best way. A lot of people still use Google Translate. I mean, come on, because you think that's an easy way, but the easy way becomes the hard way. You know what I mean? So you're saving time now, but you're not saving time in the long run, because you're like cheating yourself. Because if you spend a little bit more time on looking up every single word, for example, in a good English dictionary, so you're actually learning while you're looking up. So, for example, today we were discussing the word with someone, biased. Biased and biased. And it was actually a young girl. So, and I was telling her, blah, 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 all about this, and how to just put the word biased into your browser, and you could put biased in a sentence. You just put that in your browser, and a lot of sites will come up, and you can find some example sentences. So you can just pick 3 example sentences that are simple enough, but they speak to you, so they're special to you for some reason. And then you make your own sentences with it. So you immediately start using the word, actively, for example. So these kind of things, this is what's going to help you, because you're always playing. You're not like Lego. You're always building something. You're always making a house, then you take it apart, and you make, like or a car, then you take it apart. Imagine a child who's always, they get so proficient with Lego, right? Because then just keep doing it, then take it apart, then do it again, then put it away. Oh, how can I do this? I mean, my sister and I, we always used to do houses, and it was always parents, role playing. So we first had to build a house, and the wall was all, whatever, and then the windows. So that's all very good, and that helps you to become very confident, and you won't get stuck, or even if you do, you won't panic, or
I just had an odd thought when I walk the dogs, and I'm going down the street. I don't like to take the dogs in front of cars, right? And that's simply because if they ever got out, I don't want them comfortable running in front of a car. So when we're at a street and there's a cross street, now somebody's in their car, the windows are up, right? And I'm standing there, and they're going like this. And I'm like, and sometimes it's an argument.
Yeah.
And they don't understand. They don't understand. There's no language. There's no language here. They don't understand. I don't want to take the dog in front of their car. I don't want them used to that. I want them always, literally, if they ever got lost, whatever happened, if I fell down and they're off the leash, I don't want them to hear a car and run in front of it. I literally would want them to stop and sit.
That's really good.
Right?
Yeah.
But I can't get that out in a sentence with windows closed, walking the dog. So one time there was like this, as we call in America, the Mexican standoff. I'm standing there with the dogs, and they're going like this. And I'm like, no, you go. And I'm going like this. No, you go. No, you go. No. And I'm like, I'm literally mouthing it because the windows are closed. And even if it wasn't closed, they probably wouldn't hear me because they're in the car, the radio, they wouldn't hear me. And they got angry. And they finally, and they drove off. And I'm like, sorry, you don't understand. I won't take my dogs in front of a car. And I tell this to my friends who, like, they'll drive down the block, they'll see me, they'll stop the car, and they'll be like, oh, come on over. I'm like, I don't want to do that with the dogs. I don't want them to get comfortable hearing a motor and just jumping all over a car. And so, here I am trying to teach a dog a language. The language of cars.
That's brilliant. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it is a peculiar. It's something that, I just, a lot of dogs will run right in front of a car. Stray dogs will run right in front of a car. Like, how many times have you seen a cat? You can't teach a cat, but I'm just saying, how many times have you seen a spooked cat run across the street in front of cars? And people don't see the cat. Squirrels do it too, but I'm just saying, I don't want my dogs doing that. So it would, if they could, if they got loose, just sit there. If they heard a car, just sit there. That would be wonderful. Would it ever happen? I don't know. I don't let them loose. Although every once in a while they do get tangled up, and I let, they're sitting and I let it go, or they feel that I'm not pulling on it. They don't go. Thank God. These dogs don't do that. Thank God. Because another dog might just take off. Oh, I don't feel the tension. Boom.
Yeah.
That, what does that have to do with language? Well, it's communicating with people that don't speak, that don't even speak human. How about that one? Dogs. Somebody said to me the other day, you sort of get the idea that when a dog looks at you that they have something on their mind, like feed me, walk me, kiss me, whatever. When you look at a cat, you have no idea. And I said back, you do, because a cat looks right through you and says, are you at peace? Because if you're not, I'm out of here. A cat. It's interesting. You have cats, right? You have a cat.
I've had a cat growing up, and now I have a cat, and they're
They
very
don't. The
communicative.
relationship between a cat and a human, and a cat and a dog and a human is very different. And it's not that cats don't communicate. It's just they're spiritual. Dogs are almost human. Almost human. I got to go out. I'm afraid of that noise. And they look at you, there's somebody outside. The cat will say, danger. And, you'll see it full, the tail will go up, the hair gets up, they get twice the size. And they're communicating very spiritually. This is not a good place to be. Let's get out of here. I'm spooked. While the dog's like, I'm gonna bite somebody. The cat's like, this is a bad place. Let's get out of here. I mean, it's a whole different.
Yeah. I watched the program though the other week, and it was very eye-opening. The lady said, well, I think that was a lady, that cats are very misunderstood.
Yeah, absolutely.
They have been misunderstood for years and years and years. And what I think, I just got my cat when we moved back to Hungary a year and a half ago, and it was a few months old, a cat. And I do think that how you are with a cat from an early age, from when they were born. So the lady who had the cat before, as a newborn, she was very kind, and we always treated cats like a baby. So, and this cat is so loving, honestly, and he just wants to be around us all the time, everywhere we go. So I do think the cat kind of takes on the characteristics, and
every animal does that.
Because apparently in Japan they're different, and in different countries but I do understand that people have their own opinion about cats, but I just don't worry about it anymore.
Well, yeah,
this is my cat.
Because
I know what I know. I know how this cat talks to me. You can't tell me. Nobody can tell me what a cat doesn't. My cat does this, and I know.
Right.
I mean, it looks at me. I know what it's
saying. Right.
Yeah.
But
it communicates love and hunger and oh my God, and just meowing and talking back.
Right.
We're like having a conversation.
Right.
Meow.
Exactly.
That's
The thing
so
is that is when you have that relationship with an animal, that close relationship with an animal, they start to communicate, right? And other people. First of all, there are some people that I guess they just don't want to communicate in any language, and animals frighten them because it's they're not speaking humanly, so it's even one step beyond communication. Now you've got to really you've definitely got to use your senses, your ability, your emotions. You've got to put yourself completely in not only another human's body, but a dog, a cat, a cow, anything, a bird. And a lot of people just, they hate anything because they're afraid of it.
But again, it's mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, they're afraid. I walk outside in the morning with the dogs to let them out, and the birds chirping because it's sunrise, and they're chirping away. And I laugh every morning because I'm like, I'm hungry, feed me, I'm hungry, feed me. And they're just, the birds are just going crazy. And my garage is outside, so as the dogs are out there doing what they have to do, I go into the garage and I get my little plastic pooper scooper thing. And as I go into the garage, the door opens, but as I come out of the garage, it closes and the birds shut up. So it's every morning. Cheep, 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 boom. Cheep, 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 cheep. It takes a few seconds and they start it all over again. And the same thing with cat. Like they'll see a cat, not so much a dog. They know the difference. They see a cat, they're like, chip, 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 chip. And, I listen. I like to listen. So I find that, there's a miracle out there. There's a miracle in every second. Every second. That's where I get my love of everything from. And even when I'm miserable, I try to remind myself, there's a miracle right around the corner. You just got to wait for it and be open to it. It's not huge. It's not $1 million. You don't win the lottery. That's not the miracle. The miracle is,
nice.
An amazing sunset, a cloud in the sky. The other day I walked outside, there were gnats because it was 60 degrees out and the little teeny flies came out. I'm like, what the heck? It's not spring, guys. What's wrong? But I laughed. I said, wow, this is amazing. It's a miracle that the gnats are out in the middle. It's February. The gnats are flying around. And I laughed. And it was a point in time. Whatever I was thinking, I stopped thinking because I was thinking, why are the gnats out? Why are these bugs flying around? I hope I didn't snort one up. And I laughed. I always think I'm getting
That's a nice way to be.
I'm like, I got bugs in my eyes. Anyway, language is amazing. What you're doing is amazing. I appreciate you spending time with me. We obviously could talk about it for hours.
Yeah. Till the cows come home.
Exactly. Where can people find you on the internet if they are interested in looking you up?
That's right. So I have my YouTube channel. I've not started long actually, and I'm on TikTok, and then I'm on LinkedIn.
It's say your name one more time. I'm not gonna.
Andrea Mendel.
Okay, Mendel, Mendel. Very simple.
Mendel.
And it's Andrea, just like Andrea. It's very simple, very simple. So I appreciate you coming along. It's been great talking with you, and we have to do it sometime. Maybe I'll come to Hungary someday. Will you feed me goulash?
Yes. I'll make it from the choice of your meat. Could be beef, pork, or even chicken.
Chicken.
But originally, well, it shouldn't really be chicken. But
it should be chicken?
That in, just in case. No, it shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't be. No, it should be beef or pork.
No, beef and pork together.
Exactly.
Nice. But there are so many variations. You could make it steak. You could make it...
Yes, it should be beef and pork.
I was thinking today, actually, I should make one. But, yeah. I thoroughly enjoyed this, Joy. It was absolutely lovely. And you forgot to mention that you made stuffed cabbage, and I was so jealous.
Yes, and I have...
because I'm so lazy.
I have 2 in the freezer, and I ate it every day.
I'm coming over. When can I come over?
And I made it with chicken.
Oh, really?
I did make it with chicken. And no, it's not the same, but it wasn't bad. It's not the same, but
I love stuffed cabbage.
Usually,
I don't care how it's made.
Yeah. Sometimes
you wrap it up in the thing, in the cabbage leaves, or there is another one, Transylvanian dishes. Well, I say dishes because there are probably more different types, but where you just chunk the meat, cut it up into chunks. And so there's none of that little parcel thing, but the parcel is great. And yeah, so stop talking about
I'll do, really, we have to say goodbye. I'll do anything for cabbage. And so, cabbage is like so universal.
Oh, you'd love this layered cabbage thing. So my mom used to make it. I'm so lazy, honestly. I'm a lazy cook. So rice,
mm-hmm.
and then minced meat
mm-hmm.
made like in a stew way,
mm-hmm.
like a stew,
mm-hmm.
but, like onion and paprika,
mm-hmm.
right? Because it has that a layer of cabbage leaves, and then maybe some cheese and some sour cream
mm-hmm.
together,
mm-hmm.
lovely. And then you repeat the layers, and then in the oven, put a cheese on top in the oven.
How do you cut up the cabbage? Is it leaves or is it chopped up?
Just leaves, yeah. And then you can cook it a little bit.
Right.
Cook it in boiling water, salted boiling water,
gotcha.
and then lay it on.
Right.
And then another layer of, I think it's rice, minced meat, but we haven't done it for a while. Yeah, my mom's not well, but yeah.
I'm sorry about Mom. All right, guys.
Food and Hungary. Yeah.
I'm starving now. I think I'm gonna go eat.
Okay. This has been lovely. Yeah.
Thanks again.
Lovely. Thank you, Joy.
You're very welcome.
I enjoyed it thoroughly. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Take care.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.